Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, which is called Learn Spanish with Kushbu. And today we'll be studying the topic Verb Estar and Prepositions of Location. So let's start. Now our screen says Verb Estar, to be. Now we learned earlier that the verb ser means to be as well. However, in Spanish there is another verb which is to be, and that verb is called verb estar. We learned in our earlier classes that verb ser is used when we want to talk about what profession we are in, what is our nationality, and etc. However, verb estar does not function like this. Verb estar is mostly used when we want to talk about somebody's location. For example, in English we can say something like, I am in the park, or she is in the library. So what am I doing? I'm trying to locate the person. Now the verb estar is an irregular verb, as you can see on my screen. However, it is irregular only in the first person, which means that it does not follow the rule of conjugating AR verbs as taught earlier. However, this verb estar is irregular only in first person. So as you can see, it is yo estoy, which means I am. Then the rest of the conjugation will be regular. For example, tú estás, which means you are, ella usted está, he is, she is, you are, and etc. Now, you can clearly see that yo estoy is irregular. It is not yo esto. It is, we have to add a y, and you have to memorize this rule. The rest of the conjugation follows the AR regular verbs of conjugations in the present tense. Now, let's have a look at the translations in the sentences. Now, the first sentence is Yo estoy en la biblioteca. Now, biblioteca is a library. All right? Now, yo estoy, you can clearly see from the table on the screen that it means I am. En means in, la means the, as we have learned in the earlier classes, and biblioteca is a library. So clearly, yo estoy en la biblioteca means I am in the library. Number 2, tú estás en el parque. Tú estás means you are, then en means in, el means the, parque means park. You have to memorize that parque is a masculine noun, so that's why we will put el instead of la. So tú estás en el parque means you are in the park. Number 3, la India está en Asia. India is in Asia. So what am I doing is I am locating everything, and that's why I'm going to use verb estar. I cannot use verb ser. For example, I cannot say la India es en Asia, or I cannot say tú es or tú eres en el parque. It will be wrong. It will be a major grammar mistake, which you cannot afford to make. Number 4, los bolígrafos, which means the pens, están en la mesa. Now what am I doing? I'm locating the location of the pens. Where are they located? They're located on the table. Now, if you see, you might be thinking that, hey, why is it los bolígrafos están and why not, for example, está? Well, that is because, you can clearly see here los bolígrafos is plural. It is they. So we are going to follow the ellos alias conjugation here, which will be están. Now let's move on to the next screen. Now let's look at the prepositions. Below are prepositions that are used with verb estar to tell the location of a person or an object. Now, delante de means in front of, Now you have to memorize this. So you might want to bring a notebook and copy all these in your notebook along with the English translation of these words. Detrás de means behind. En means in. Dentro de means inside. A la izquierda means on the left. A la derecha on the right. Enfrente de opposite. Entre means between. Sobre means on. Encima de means above. Arriba means up. Al lado de means beside. Now, let's have a look at some sentences with these prepositions of location. El perro está debajo de la silla. Now, if you remember from the previous screen, what does estar means? Estar is the el elia conjugation of verb estar, which means is. El perro means the dog. The dog is, now let's quickly look at what debajo means. Debajo de means below, right? Under, it means under or below. So you can easily say that the dog is under the chair. All right. Now, let's have a look at another picture. La librería está al lado de la escuela. The bookstore, be very careful. Librería is not a library. Library is biblioteca, like we learned earlier. La librería means the bookstore or the bookshop. The bookshop is beside the school. Okay. So you can frame some sentences, you can pause the video and frame your own sentences. We have learned a lot of vocabulary like of animals and some classroom objects, buildings. So you can use those vocabulary and frame sentences on your own and then translate them as well into English. Now, let's look at the next prepositions. Abajo, so this you can even say debajo de like we did earlier. So abajo means below, lejos de means far, cerca de means near. Now, el perro está debajo de la silla o el perro está bajo de la silla. The dog is under the chair. Okay. La librería está al lado de la escuela. The bookshop is beside the school. All right. Now we can even say some different sentences. For example, let's say we want to say a sentence with cerca de. Now cerca de means near, right? So I can say something like, for example, mi escuela. Try to think, what does mi escuela mean? Mi means my, escuela means school. Mi escuela, my school. Now you can say my school is. What was is? It will be está. Be very careful. It will not be es because I am locating something. And whenever we try to locate something, what do we use? We use verb estar, right? So I'm going to say, mi escuela está cerca de mi casa. Okay, what does casa mean? House, right? Mi means my. All right, so mi escuela está cerca de mi casa. My house, my school is near my house. Now, let's translate the following sentences into English. Of course, using the verb estar and prepositions of location. Now, letter A says, El gato está encima de la mesa. Okay, you might want to pause the video and, try to write the answers here. But we can even discuss. Now, what do we know by el gato? Well, we had learned the vocabulary for animals. El gato means the cat. Está means is. Encima de is a preposition of location, which we just learned, which it means on. Encima de. La mesa we learned is the table. So the cat is on the table. Letter B. El perro gordo. Okay, what was el perro? The dog, right? Gordo, what does gordo mean? Fat, right? We learned that in the adjectives. El perro gordo y bonito. Bonito is beautiful. It's an adjective, right? We learned it. So the fat and beautiful dog is, what is detrás? Behind. Behind the tree, right? We learned this vocabulary of árbol in the geography vocabulary, right? Of nature vocabulary. We learned all that. El mercado, the market. Está is. Delante de means in front of the bank. El banco. Letter D. El jardín, garden. It was in the house vocabulary, right? El jardín está detrás del garaje. The garden is behind the garage. Okay, so it's quite nice. So what you might want to do is practice these prepositions of location, write them somewhere in your notebook, cover them, and then try to tell the definitions in English. And try to describe your house as well using these prepositions of locations as well as verb estar. And you also might be very interested in looking at the next video, which will be on how to use these prepositions of locations and describe a picture. For example, describe a classroom picture or describe a house, for example. So we can wait for the next video, and then you can definitely reinforce this knowledge. Okay, so anyway, thanks for looking at this video. I appreciate it, and please do subscribe to my channel. All right, okay, bye bye.